to game 2 of Kazumaru versus Minionpawn. Kazumaru won the first one, and now it is Minionpawn's start. Let's take a look at this kingdom. So, Groundskeeper is a lot of VP. The only way, yeah, you can't really gain cards. I mean, Sleigh gains 2 horses, Bandit gains gold, but there's no plus buy. And there is, the alt VP is in the form of Groundskeeper. So, Charlatan, I think, makes the golden deck less appetizing. However, yeah, I don't think you can play necessarily golden deck, but you can go to a pretty thin deck and look to just bounty hunt provinces. I think that deck gets on. The deck that's trying to do Groundskeeper stuff just doesn't have enough gains. So, like, you have to gain 6 Groundskeepers. If I gain 6 provinces, I've got a 30-point lead. And at best, you're gaining provinces now for 12. And then the game ends. So you're gaining duchies for 9. And you're getting 3 of those before I empty out the provinces. So, we saw both players. We saw Bounty Hunter Dungeon for Minionpawn, which makes some sense. We saw Lookout Dungeon. We saw Bounty Hunter Lookout for Kazu, which is a little more aggressively thinning. It does both get you to the ends of the shuffle somewhat cleanly. I don't believe in Academy here. I don't know what we're doing. What are we doing with our decks? I've not figured that out yet. I would have just gotten a Charlatan there and said, I'm going to play with a Charlatan and a Bounty Hunter and a gold. I'm going to do like a Charlatan golden deck, basically, and I'll have some Ratcatchers or some Lookout Dungeon stuff to just smooth out some of the issues. Yeah, certainly we need a second Trasher. Minionpawn did end up getting a Lookout on turn 3, right? So they've got a second Trasher. I just don't know what the Academy is doing, honestly. I really don't know what the Academy is doing. Why are we playing multiple Charlatans a turn? It seems aggressive, and I guess the Academy deck, by the end of the game, you have enough. This is a really unlucky reveal. By the end of the game with the Academy deck, you have enough things. You're playing Sleighs every turn. So Sleigh is like a lab with Academy around, is what we're thinking. I mean, the trashing is good. It's just annoying enough, and it's a terminal gold, and I don't have really any other terminals I want to play. I'd certainly like to, like, bounty hunt my Lookout fairly soon, and if they're playing attacks, I don't get to do that. So Sleigh is like a lab plus a village delayed, I guess, but we're still hard capped at one province per turn. So I'm not really seeing what we need to get a deck that can get 8 money in it at some point, right? And if our opponent starts provincing before us, we're in quite a bit of trouble. And so, like, once the deck has 8 money in it, I don't see the point of building up draw and villagers with Sleigh. We can just province every turn. Sleigh on the very open seems reasonable to me, just because. Sorry, dungeon is the first turn 1 or 2 buy with the Bounty Hunter makes sense to me just for spinning purposes. And we're gonna see here what ends up being a fairly nice turn for Minionpawn. They're able to loop back around, give out a curse, I guess this is a Sleigh. I really like. I want to be hitting 8. I want to hit 8 pretty quickly, and we're thinning 2 cards a turn, but we're not adding much payload. And maybe horses. Maybe the plan is horses with Hunting Lodge is our horses as Mule, with our Hunting Lodge is the payload. In which case, Minionpawn, we get a Sleigh here, and then you get another Hunting Lodge and another Sleigh and start greening. Yikes! This draw that we have 2 dungeons, I guess. Wow, though, this is a clean shuffle except for 1 card, and they drew the 4 worst cards of 8. That is very unlikely if you're doing the math. This is and looking at Kazu's hand, this hand is also pretty unlikely bad. Seeing 7 cards. I think you have curse in there still, right? There's a curse in the. It's not a curse in exile, so you can play this lookout. I'm very likely to see stuff to trash. I feel like this is just all going slower than it needs to. I feel like I can believe in one Sleigh, I guess, as your, but I'm pretty sure just Charlatan, Gold, Harem as your three money sources, Province, Bounty Hunter. I mean, I guess you do have to figure out how to deal with the curses from Charlatan in that deck. So you've got to you can get Academy and Sleigh and deal with it and Ratcatcher and deal with it that way, or yes, we can play Lookout here. We can play Sleigh. Oh, we discarded 2 coppers. We're going to discard 2 action cards. We're going to discard Charlatan, Bounty Hunter, and then play the Lookout, Bounty Hunter, Copper, play the Sleigh, something like that. Yeah, this all makes much more sense than what I was saying. Yeah, so Charlatan now, and then Hunting Lodge draws deck. And we've got 6 money, and I don't know what the plan is right now. Do I get a second Hunting Lodge and do the spinning stuff, or do you just buy a gold and say I'm going to start provincing and Bounty Hunt a card, trash a card every turn? Bounty Hunt a province, trash a curse every turn. I think that makes the most sense to me, so grab a province here. Grab a gold here and then start provincing next turn. And then I don't really see any way for Kazu to come back from that. Is Charlatan greater than gold? I guess you have Sleigh, Hunting Lodge, 2 Charlatans is 3 terminals. You're gaining 2. You have 3 village effect, and the villagers smooth it out. So yeah, Charlatan would be greater than gold in that line. Plus, you can play Charlatan mid-turn. So I will give you that. I've not played enough with Charlatan to fully ingrain what all it's doing. So somehow Kazu, who opened with 2 trashers, and they didn't miss, is way behind on trashing, it feels like. Dungeon, they played the Lookout, they played the Bounty Hunter, they bought a dungeon. So their turn 7 was sad. Turn 8 was fine. Turn 9, yeah, this is just like a series of somewhat sad shuffles for Kazu. Minionpawn got a Groundskeeper. I've already analyzed, I think, the reasons why I don't think Groundskeeper is worthwhile here. It's kind of a win more card for Minionpawn. Basically, they're a full turn ahead. So, since they're a full turn ahead, they can buy a thing that builds up their engine a little bit and doesn't leave an opening or something, and it's not a stop card. So, they can just get a gold next turn and start provincing. But that being said, I really much prefer, and especially because somehow Kazu has fallen behind on the trashing, so getting the second Charlatan into the deck seems quite worthwhile. Kazu's missing a Hunting Lodge from the deck, which I think is a pretty nice card. And I assume you have to keep pace now in the Groundskeepers. I mean, they could go for the Charlatan themselves and say, I'm going to start provincing next turn, and then you're going to be a turn behind me in provincing. But then Minionpawn just wins because their Groundskeeper accrues points. I really don't know. Hunting Lodge seems like a good card for the deck. So this is a spot where we can discard Lookout, Curse, Bounty Hunt a Copper, Mule a Horse, and spin with Hunting Lodge. I think that's right. And Minionpawn quickly has seen this as well. I think we play Sleigh and then Groundskeeper here and try not to play Try not to play this dungeon. Sorry, I said try not to play the dungeon. Not to play the dungeon. Okay, they weren't listening. It's okay. So we can mule this horse and play the sleigh. We can play sleigh and then horse, and then we'll top deck at least a horse. Either of them seem fine. I really want to overlap these dungeons. I realize it let us do a trash thing this turn, but they're just getting groundskeepers. Huh. I mean, if at any point Kazu adds payload to get up to 8 money, Minionpawn can just mirror. So I'm just not like. I feel like Minionpawn. This is the slow way out for Minionpawn. The buy second Charlatan, start greening just ends the game quickly. And if Kazu starts buying groundskeepers, you just keep buying provinces every turn. And then, as I did the math, the groundskeepers don't scale fast enough unless you can gain 2 cards in a turn. One bad thing about I don't know if it's a bad thing, but in the old days, you used to be able to mule the groundskeeper and then play Hunting Lodge, which was a nice combination. You're no longer able to do that. You actually have to play the groundskeeper to get the VP. Not the end of the world, certainly, but I'm not sure what the pause here is. We're always discarding Copper Curse and then seeing what we draw. And probably we just discard Sleigh Charlatan. Sleigh Horse is not unreasonable. Probably you just play this horse just to draw the stuff, and then we can play the lookout, and we should be looking at 3 bad cards down there. We should be looking at a bad card down there. Yeah, this has worked out fine. We can play the horse, play the Charlatan now. Spin with the Lodge, which has the effect of drawing deck, basically, if we want to. Doesn't quite. I think there's one more horse down there. Yeah, so this worked out fine. We can mule the horse. Yeah, so I'm going to keep, I guess, harping on this. I would just click on Charlatan there and win the game in 4 turns. Once I buy the 4th province, I assume they resign. Minionpawn just wants this one to last longer at what is maybe a tiny increase in reliability. That's not clear to me. So if we're looking at stuff, there's 10 cards in the trash and 10 cards in exile. 20 starting cards, 9 curses. There's 9 sort of bad cards between the deck, and I'm pretty sure 7 or 8 of those are in Kazumaru's deck. Yeah, I mean, as second player here, down the groundskeeper split, I guess you just do what Kazu's doing and hope your opponent makes some kind of egregious blunder of unknown characteristics. I will say I don't know what this egregious blunder would be, but yeah, so certainly we can play Sleigh here first. No, play Sleigh first and then Dungeon. So if you play Sleigh first and then Dungeon, you're top decking a horse. You're just discarding this curse and horse, and then you can. We just didn't. Okay, we didn't want to put a horse on top of the shuffle. I don't know that it matters, but we could definitely have done that. So this is a good spot for Harem, I think, for Minionpawn. That lets them start getting 8, plus it gives them 3 VP. So it's a nice VP hit. It's also unique. They can always bounty hunt it later. I don't know what else to say. Like, Minionpawn is... I don't know. Chat. We've got 10 spectators now. Kazu should be resigning here, right? There's no reason to play this game out, right? This is a clear resign spot. Like, I don't see any possible route to victory here for Kazu other than Minionpawn decides to take a nap. Like, there's no possibility to leave open a 3 pile. Even if Minionpawn has a full dud turn, I'm not seeing how this is happening. But Minionpawn is also playing it out the slowest possible way. um, which I will say, like, at any point they could just click gold and then win the game in 4 turns. But they're playing it out a way that lets Kazu somehow think that there's some life here that I'm not seeing. So this is a turn we can province, right? Okay, so new plan. We're bounty hunting horse and buying province this turn. They didn't want to do that. Okay. It was a good plan. We were going to bounty hunt a horse. We can still do it. Discard Copper Groundskeeper, bounty hunt a horse. Oh, play the Groundskeeper. Play the Groundskeeper. What? Play the Groundskeeper, drawing the horse, top decking a horse, bounty hunt the horse, buy province. They didn't want to do it. We could have even gotten the horse out of exile with Sleigh this turn, and we could do it next turn. So, yeah, I don't have much to say. I don't know if people in chat have any questions or comments at this point. The game is just kind of playing itself out. Minionpawn is content to make it last forever, and Kazu is content to never resign. So I am a bit befuddled by the way this is played out. Is there some analysis that I'm missing in my buy gold, buy provinces line? Like, the only way to win... So basically every Groundskeeper you buy is equal in value to the number of green cards you buy before the end of the turn. Before the end of the game. So if Kazu buys a Groundskeeper, you would have to then buy 6 green cards after that Groundskeeper for it to be worth the province that you're buying instead. And you cannot buy... By the time Minionpawn has bought 6 provinces, they have too much VP for Kazu to win. So I think that's why the first Groundskeeper makes no sense to me, because you're saying this Groundskeeper is going to be equal to a province because I'm going to buy 6 green cards before the end of the game. And by the time you've bought 6 provinces, it doesn't matter that your opponent has gotten 6 Groundskeepers, because they can at most get 12 points total, especially because the last Groundskeeper is only worth 1 at that point. So they're going to get 12 points total, but there's only 2 provinces left. So like the game ends in 2 turns. So they would have to get 6 Groundskeepers and buy, some number of duchies. And if your deck is essentially golden, which Minionpawn's deck has been for ages, then yeah, I don't know. That's my analysis. So we could make a spreadsheet, but I think the math is pretty clear that the first Groundskeeper makes no sense here. And the nth Groundskeeper makes the same amount of sense as the first Groundskeeper by induction. Proof by induction is a very important proof mechanism. We bought the last Groundskeeper. Awesome. So yes, that Groundskeeper we all have agreed makes 0 sense. The previous 5 Groundskeepers also made 0 sense. Is there a realm now where Minionpawn loses because of this? No, because they have 6 to 4 Groundskeepers. So if we trade provinces, Minionpawn just wins. So all that being said, I don't understand why Kazu is not resigning here. And the answer is because Minionpawn is not active. When your opponent is not actively attempting to win the game, and apologies to Minionpawn who's listening to this, but that is what appears to be happening, is you're not actively attempting to win the game. Kazu's like, why should I try it? Why should I resign the game when my opponent's not trying to win? Obviously, if my opponent's trying to win, I don't want to just keep playing out, but Minionpawn doesn't appear to want to win this game currently going on. They want to prolong it as long as possible, and so Kazu's thinking, oh, Minionpawn's really enjoying this game. He's trying to prolong it as maximally long as possible by doing this weird Groundskeeper thing that makes no sense. So I will just keep playing it out my turns to let Minionpawn enjoy himself playing out this game and seeing how long that it lasts. 14 turns now. I believe by my math, Minionpawn could have 5 provinces right now, and would be up 32-0. And Kazu would be buying the 5th Groundskeeper, which would mean they'd need to add a stack of colonies for them to come back. In fact, if Minionpawn had bought the Charlatan, as I had said gold, but Mr. Guy pointed out Charlatan's better, Kazu would be even further behind, because I think they would have slowed down a little bit. They might not have been able to afford 5 every turn. A little bit tough to say. One can only hope that now Minionpawn starts buying provinces. Although, who knows? Maybe they'll start buying duchies. There's also, like, some misclicks Minionpawn can do. Okay, so this is, like, a clear to me bounty hunt horse situation. Nope, didn't want to do it. Bounty hunt horse is just strictly better than what Minionpawn just did, for whatever that is worth to people. It is whatever we mean when we say the word strictly. Bounty hunt horse was strictly better than that line. Okay, that's a win for Minionpawn. We move on to game